Welcome to one of the most interesting projects ever, an experiment and demonstration of using something known as remote viewing to predict certain digital information accurately over a forecast period of 3 months. Remote viewing is a mental process that allows for the transfer of information across time and space. I'm Courtney Brown, director of the Farsight Institute, where we conduct experiments that use remote viewing in a large variety of settings and across a great many topics. Remote viewing was originally developed by the United States military and used for espionage purposes, but Farsight is civilian, and we use remote viewing for scientific investigations and for exploration. Predicting digital information has always been a serious challenge for remote viewing, and this is due to the nature of the physics involved. But there have been advances in our understanding of the phenomenon, and now we believe we have the capability to do just that using a new experimental design that resolves many of the issues encountered in past research. So what you are watching now is part of a predictive experiment that involves perceiving the high and low selling prices of a cryptocurrency over a 3-month period. Beginning with this report, we are also adding a new predictive element involving the potential for sudden volatility or change in the currency's price. The currency that is the focus of this particular report is Litecoin. Litecoin is related to Bitcoin, where the major difference is that Litecoin is structured such that transactions can occur more quickly, and the possibility of using Litecoin for retail purchases on a large scale is quite real. We are publishing new forecasts each month, and each one has a set forecast period. But as always, we begin with a disclaimer. No one at Farsight is a licensed financial advisor, so anything that anyone at Farsight does that relates to using remote viewing to predict financial or economic outcomes of any type, including the selling prices of cryptocurrencies, is done for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everyone doing investments are doing so at their own risk. These are experiments in remote viewing, and there are no guarantees being made, either explicit or implied. Nonetheless, these efforts are truly interesting on a grand scale, and I personally believe that after we do this for a while, it will be hard for anyone to ignore the reality of remote viewing. We are using a brand new experimental design that is crafted to avoid the problems typically encountered when using remote viewing with associative remote viewing to predict digital information. We do not do associative remote viewing at Farsight because of the faulty nature of that experimental design, a topic which I have discussed at length elsewhere. Basically, with our new experimental design, our remote viewers perceive targets, which are places that are designed using CGI software. The targets do not exist at the time that the remote viewers do their work, but the rules for creating the targets based on future high and low values of a cryptocurrency do exist, and we can examine the remote viewing data to determine how those rules will be applied in the future to create the targets. Using this method, we can predict estimates for the high and low values of a particular currency, as well as the level of sudden volatility surrounding those peaks and lows. If this sounds complicated, just don't worry about the specifics of the process. Rather, follow the results and evaluate the experiment based on the accuracy of the outcomes. For this forecast using Litecoin, we have a 3-month forecast window. If hypothetical investors were using remote viewing data to base their buy and sell decisions with respect to a specific coin, the idea would be to use the predictive information to know when to buy and sell, as well as when to be alert for sudden changes in the prices of a currency that may occur. As with all investments, one buys when the prices are low and sells when the prices are high. So with a 3-month forecast, where one has an idea of what the high and low prices will be, then one would wait for those high and low prices to happen and then buy and sell accordingly. With this experiment using Litecoin, we are offering both high-risk and low-risk estimates for the high and low prices. In time, we will layer into this additional statistical information that will allow us to create confidence intervals around those point estimates. The high-risk values are just that, values that an investor would use that are based on the most extreme price values that could come out of our data. The low-risk values are more conservative and theoretically safer bets. Since we have 2 prices that we want to predict, a high and a low price for Litecoin, we have 2 targets. You will notice that the remote viewers do not always describe the same scene. This is part of the experimental design. The rules that we use to evaluate the data are the same for all remote viewers, but they can perceive different scenes in their sessions. So there is no need for the viewers to have a lot of overlap in terms of what they see in their sessions. The overlap occurs in the interpretation of their data.